In this video, we're going to discuss the essence of counseling. And I just want to share a couple of things with you in reference to counseling, because counseling is the most popular mental health service as of today. Counseling. And from 2020 to 2023, there has been a 30% increase on not only the use of services, but also the pricing of services. Counseling within itself is a $26 billion industry. And I know that this industry is not going to slow down. It's not going to wane. It's not going to fade away. It's actually going to become even bigger. Part of the reason is because more and more people are becoming aware of the industry and the impact that it can have on their life. Number two, people are freeing themselves from the ideology that whatever people would say, don't air your dirty laundry. Or in other words, whatever issues you have, figure it out yourself and fix it. Don't go telling people your business, okay? People are freeing themselves from that ideology, freeing themselves from the cultural restraints that have been attributed, to counseling, or someone who gets counseling, or someone who gets therapy, or someone who gets coaching. The biggest thing, number three, is the rise of mental health issues. I would personally say, I'm sure there's statistics on this that show that social media has had a profound effect on people's mental health. And I don't foresee anything social media dissipating, going away, fading away. I just see social media increasing. I see other platforms that are going to be made and coming out and people are going to jump onto. I foresee a lot of that. In my mind, I'm thinking of all the social media platforms from, let's see if I can name them, just ready, set, go. YouTube, Pinterest, X, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Lemonade, Clubhouse, Reddit, TikTok, Be Real. I think that one's kind of faded out, but still a platform. So there you go. There's 10 right off the top of my head. And I don't see it leaving. And I see that because mental health has been an issue in cultures, in society, not necessarily social media, but what is being portrayed on social media, what people are seeing on social media, and thereby how people are processing what they're being exposed to. Many mental health issues will come to the surface, will arise, will show forth itself. And of course, the opportunity that counseling brings of healing. People want to be free. They want to be happy. They want solution. They want to move. They want to shift to the other side. Now, granted, we don't want to confuse counseling with coaching. Counseling allows people to sit and process through specific things. Whereas coaching is where you are, where you want to go, and this is the process, this is the strategy, and then having the accountability to get there. But counseling allows us to tap into the essence of counseling, which is, the essence of counseling is people. The essence of counseling is people. And by and large, when we understand what psychology is is the observation and study of human behavior. Okay? Now, we have psychology, and then we have the Christian perspective. Okay? And the Christian perspective is, as it relates to counseling, the opportunity for, I'll say, freedom and liberty within the human and its current condition. Okay? So you have the psychology aspect of it, the observation and the study of the human behavior. Then you have the Christianity understanding of it is the opportunity for freedom and liberty within the human and its current condition. That's a whole word. I don't even have time to. That would preach. Okay. So the essence of counseling is people. And the essence of counseling is allowing those said people to process, understand, elaborate. What other words could we use? Break down, extract. Okay? Their personal experiences. And experiences could be a multitude of things. The way they grew up, what happened when they were in school, if there was bullying, if there was teasing, their socioeconomic status, if there was money, if there wasn't money, growing up in the city, growing up in rural areas, growing up with a mother, without a mother, with a father, without a father, what that meant, having siblings, having people in your life that loved you or didn't love you, having experiences that led to fear, extreme fears like arachnophobia, phobia of water, phobia of public speaking, which is the number one phobia in the world, is public speaking. Experiences that have caused them to establish limiting beliefs within themselves that have prevented them from finding healthy partners, making certain amounts of money, being able to have a healthy platonic relationship, healthy romantic relationships, have remove themselves or move away from toxicity, dysfunction, all the things. Okay? And so one of the things that we really want to understand when it comes to counseling is we're giving people the space and the opportunity to speak on things that they have yet to ever speak through. I've many times had clients who have said, I can't believe I'm talking about this right now. Or they'll just stop mid-sentence. And I'm like, hey, where did you go? Oh, and they went back. They went back to that time because they've only spoken about it twice. Assault, molestation, violation of their emotions, of their psyche, of their body, of finances. You're talking about a multitude of things. Having experiences in the workplace, things of that nature. All of these things are experiences. And when we really deep dive into people's experiences, what we're doing is, again, giving them a safe space to explore. And what we will find is that there's a lot of trauma that makes people. There's a lot of rationale. This happened, so that means that. This didn't happen, so that means this. This should have happened, so that means that. A lot of rationale that's not rooted in truth of the word. Oftentimes, it's just not a true statement at all as it relates to life. Okay? And a lot of times, fear, doubt, abandonment, rejection, witchcraft, a lot of different things. Okay? So we're dealing with trauma, we're dealing with rationale, which shows us that in counseling, our biggest work is to get to the root of an issue. If you can deal with the root, you'll get rid of the fruit. And a lot of times what people do is they like to look at the fruit and base their hypothesis or base their decisions on fruit. We see the fruit, but the fruit doesn't give us the root. If you see there's rotten fruit on the tree, can you pluck off the rotten fruit? Absolutely. But guess what? There's another piece of rotten fruit that is probably going to appear on that same place in a little bit. Why? Because you didn't deal or extract the root that's producing the rot. If you don't deal with the root of a thing, the fruit will continue to come back. Oftentimes, if I'm dealing with a couple and there's infidelity, infidelity is the symptom. What is the root? I tell people oftentimes when it comes to divorce and lack of communication and sex and money, communication, sex, money are the top three things that are identified as the reasons why marriages don't work. But I'm here to tell you those three are not it. It's a root. Because if someone is having an issue, for example, in their marriage, when it comes to sex, the root is not the sex. The root is not the headache. The root is not them not being interested. The root of the issue is the unwarranted and unwanted sexual experience that they never had a chance to process through. That's the benefit of counseling. If a couple is dealing with financial issues, one party spends more than another party, then the spender has the root issue not of spending. The root issue is validation. The root issue is trying to keep up with the Joneses because they want attention. They want approval. They want validation. If it's a gambling issue that we're dealing with, it's not gambling that's the root. The root is not feeling safe with money or having a fear of money because of whatever happened previously. If someone is having suicidal ideations is just the fruit. The root is they don't believe they're enough. They're dealing with so much warfare. They have no other conclusion than maybe their life just is not as valuable as everyone else's is. The root is if someone is having an issue with their eating, so they're overweight, they have bad eating habits, they're hurting themselves. The root is not the overeating or the diabetes or the blood pressure. That's not the root. That's the fruit. That is not the root. Okay? The food, the eating, that's not the root. That's the fruit. The root is their issues from the past. They're trying to They're buffering, using an outer source to calm their emotions, right? That's the T. I'm telling y'all that T always comes out. Okay? They use food as comfort. So as soon as they're uncomfortable, and it could be any kind of discomfort, job, kids, change, gotta move, they eat. They eat. So the eating, the food type, the health issues, all of that is the fruit, which is just a symptom of the root. And in counseling, we are able to bypass this to this. We're able to get to the root. If we can heal the root, if we can process the root, if we can deal with the root, if we can extract the rotten root, bring healing to the root, process the root, the fruit will automatically be healed because it's going to spring forth from a healthy root, not a rotten root. That's why Jesus was so upset with that fig tree. In the season that he saw the fig tree, that fig tree should have had fruit on it, and it didn't. What's wrong with you? You will never produce fruit. And when they came back round, that thing was dead from the dead. Okay? That is a demarcation, a denotion of the power of the root. So when we're working with our clients and we're getting to the root, our goal is not to prove them wrong or say, oh, well, that's because of trauma. Oh, that's because your dad left. Oh, that's because and give them all these things. The goal is to, and this is one of the best processes that you have here. Okay, the goal is, you can use different methods. You can use T, but the goal is to help them see the root and help them be willing to heal the root. Uproot it, extract it, take it out, replace it, whatever. Deal with it. Okay? To see it, acknowledge it. Understand, yeah, that's the source. Okay? That's the source. And then do the work of healing the root. That's why some people can be in therapy for years, because it can be quite difficult for people to acknowledge their weaknesses, acknowledge their shortcomings, acknowledge spoiled roots or ineffective, I'll say, roots in their life. A lot of people oftentimes say, well, that's the past. That's old stuff. You're supposed to push forward. Well, a lot of overachievement comes from a lack thereof in our childhood. Because we're trying to make up for not having someone tell us that they're proud of us. We're trying to make up for not having our moms or our dads in our lives. We're trying to prove those people who teased us wrong. So it drives someone into overachievement. So how do you do that? You go ahead, of course, you could absolutely use T so that you can show them that the results that they're getting, and you just take them up the ladder. One way of writing it is results, right? And then actions. And this is just thoughts. And thoughts is what we call it mindset, excuse me. It's really our belief, system, which is crafted by our experiences. Okay? So you have T. And you'll have to work through this with them so they can see it. Another way is is questioning, right? When you ask questions like, what would happen if? What would your future look like if? Imagine a different outcome to whatever it is that you're talking about, right? What would you want it to be? Do you want it to be? These are really great questions. Why? Because it gets them talking and it gets their thoughts out to you in the form of words. Okay? Another way of helping people process and getting to the root of an issue is asking them to you identify cycles and patterns of their life. So, for example, when they start gambling, what's happening? When they see an uptick in spending, what's going on around you? What's happening in your life? When was the last time you ended up spending $5,000 and putting $5,000 on your credit card? What was happening in your life at that time? Okay, tell me the time before that. Okay, tell me the time before that. Identifying cycles and identifying patterns really helps out. Hence, seasonal depression. People say, when daylight savings comes and the sun goes down a lot earlier in the fall and the winter than it does in the spring and the summer, a lot of people go into seasonal depression. But why are they going into seasonal depression? That's a cycle. Why? Oh, well, because it gets dark. That's an external circumstance. What's happening in your mind when it gets dark early? Oh, I'm not able to be motivated. Okay, why are you not able to be motivated? What do you think about the darkness? Hello? Right? That causes you to not be motivated. Now you can start to identify cycles. And oftentimes, because it's our life, we're living it, it's hard for us to see it. So having someone like you, a Christian counselor, can now reflect back to us what we're inside of. That's why having an outside trusted source such as yourself, you're that Christian counselor, you're that safe space, you're that trusted source, you're that person they can rely on. Your wisdom, your counsel, your understanding, your exhortation is so necessary and makes such a pivotal difference in people's lives, because you can see them beyond their limiting beliefs, beyond their cycles, beyond the root issues. You can see them for who they are despite those things. And oftentimes when it comes to Christian counseling, what you're able to do is show them who they are without those things getting in the way and interfering and blocking their perception of themselves. And that's literally what Jesus did. And it throughout, from the Old Testament to the New Testament. Gideon, get up, you're going to go fight this war. Mighty man of valor. Who are you talking to? Me? Right? That was Gideon's response. Hey, Moses, I need you to go ahead and tell Pharaoh, let my people go. Me? You know I stutter, right? Why don't you call Aaron? Why don't you call? They could not see themselves the way God saw them. When people come into counseling, we're able to push past all the muck and mire so that they can see how bright they actually shine in God's eyes according to the kingdom. That's how powerful it is. So this process of identifying cycles and patterns, using, I wiped it off, using tea, having certain probing questions that you can ask them. All of these things is to get their thoughts into words that will now help you help them. And when you're, just a side note here, I feel like I should just say this. When you're doing your marketing, one of the best things that you can do is when you're creating and crafting your offer, you think of the things that you wanted when you were in that place, in that position. When you overcame drinking, overeating, smoking, molestation, suicidal ideations, gambling, shifting your mindset, millionaire mindset, when you were shifting yourself from a poverty mindset to a millionaire mindset, what did you want? What did you need? What were you looking for? Because when you can identify that, you can put that into your communication. You can also have that in mind for when you're doing your sessions or you're doing your events or your counseling or what have you, because more often than not, that's what they need. That's why they were drawn to you. That's why God brought them to you. It's quite simple, actually. Yeah, it's quite simple. So the essence of counseling, the foundation of it is getting to the root. Then destroying it so they can see the shining star that they are. Shining star, no matter who you are, shining bright to see. Okay? So those methods are really essential, really great for helping them to extract the root, and then identifying the root. Then upon identifying the root, right, you can now begin to heal, extract, process, rewire. So when we talk about subconscious reprogramming, we're having to help people rewire their thought processes. They've thought certain ways for decades, day in, day out, year after year, week after week, minute after minute. Many people are very used to toxicity. So when they encounter health, they resist or there's a fight because they're not used to it. This is what it means when people say, "Oh, I got bored in that relationship. He was too nice. She was too good. I was bored." You're bored because you're used to drama, used to toxicity, right? And listen, I've gained a lot of clients. I've gained more clients than I've lost, but I have lost clients when I am truthful with them like that. And it's never a place of nastiness or let me correct you, but more so if you don't see the truth, this issue that even drove you to come and see me, it's going to destroy you. You gotta see the root. You gotta see what's really going on here. And even when it's from a place of compassion and empathy, sometimes people, they just can't take it. But when you get to the root, you got to start healing, right? So that's reprogram the subconscious. That is inner healing, or soul healing. I wrote a book about that. One of my best books, actually, one of my best-selling books. Christ Confidence is number one. soul issues is what it's called. It's number 2. It drove a lot of customers, a lot of people to me. Soul issues, yeah. Okay. You got inner healing. You got cognitive behavior therapy, right? Where we're consciously making a decision to think different thoughts, right? To replace certain behaviors and certain ways of thinking and being. So, okay. Then you also have talk counseling, or usually heard as talk therapy, where people are able to talk it out and they're able to see. Okay, so, and then when they're talking, you can give them alternatives. You can give them resources, because a lot of times people perish for lack of a lack of knowledge. Resources. This is a good time for you to you have become an Amazon affiliate. Okay, so you can send them to Amazon so they can buy books, workbooks. If you have a workbook or a digital product that you have created specifically for that thing, you can say, hey, this is part of the counseling. This is a workbook designed specifically for this thing. We're going to go through it, and you need to get this copy, okay? So that we can work through it together, and you'll begin to see how we can reshape and craft your life. So we'll say digital products, right? Sometimes there's games, right? So like Monopoly is great for people who don't really understand money. If you're a finance guru, right? Monopoly is good. With the Rat Race game by Robert Kiyosaki, if it's still available, I'm not sure if it's still in production. Okay, there's different games, or you could even create games that allow if you have a couple, effective ways of communicating, how to argue and win. And then, but the caveat is, if your partner loses, then you lose too. You win by communicating effectively. Right? So, so there's different things that you can do. You can, now, because we're Christian counselors, we got prayer, right? And you guys can pray together. You can have daily devotionals. You can have prayer books. You can have different things like that can all help them heal the root, so that the fruit. What does my apple look like? I didn't want to make an apple anyway. I want to make a mango. Boom. The mango is good. Yeah. That is the essence of counseling. We get to the root so that the fruit can be healthy and produce the results that they actually want in their life. And that is how transformation comes.